So you have probably all played on whatever Minecraft server that you like built a base and then covered it up. This way no one would ever think there's a base here. And then what happens? You go on a 2-week vacation to Hawaii, and when you come back your base isn't there anymore. So you're probably like, it's probably an X-rayer, but this happens over and over again, so it can't be an X-rayer. So what are Minecraft players up to today? Well, by only looking at this delicious looking pie, I can tell that there is a base nearby by doing this, this, this. And today I'm going to show you how you can also do that. So first, let's say I'm in this random survival server, and then I'm exploring somewhere. Maybe I'm right here, let's say. I'm building another portal here to go to the nether. And then I feel like looting a base because it gives me lots of resources. So what do I do in this situation? Well, pretty simple. Open up your F3 menu, and originally you should get this screen. And most of you, I'm guessing, are probably familiar with this screen. It's called the debug screen, and it's useful for finding things like your coordinates or what block you're facing, and also your FPS, etc. But you can open up a pie chart by pressing F3 and 1, or Shift and F3 on some older versions. And then you could see this pie looking thing. So this was originally designed to figure out why your game is lagging. So the percentages here mean something. They mean what percent of it is taking up my CPU. So my CPU is processing data, and then what percent of my data is being processed is right here. So as you can see, there are different text right here: update display, game render, tick, render, FPS update, blah blah blah. The only thing you actually want to look for is tick and the number corresponding to it. Depending on your world and what is currently generating, there should be a different number or the same number corresponding to tick. So you want to just look at the number corresponding to it and press it, and you get this screen. Well, maybe the order is different, and usually level pops up at first, but it can be different, as I said. So just press number corresponding with level, and then block entities. As you can see, it is right here. It is number 2. And if you accidentally made a typo, you could just press 0 to go back. And you can see right now, this is all the things that might be useful: entities, block entities, and blocks. Unspecified is never useful. So entities show you things like players, or maybe creepers, or if there's a base nearby, maybe there's villagers. But this isn't exactly helpful because villagers also spawn villages, and then if you have like a mob spawner in your base, like you could also detect mobs from a cave. So this isn't usually helpful, so press 0 to go back. And then what usually is the most helpful is block entities. And as you can see on my screen, there are 5 different useful things: trial spawners, chests, mob spawners, vaults, and bells. This is all the block entities that the game is currently rendering. And what I want to do right now is pretty simple. Turn off your pie chart by pressing F3 and 1, and then turn off your debug screen by pressing F3. This is important if you don't want your game to crash. Well, it might not crash if you're on a super good computer, but for me, I'm on an Intel Core i7 right now, which means it is going to crash if I didn't do that. So I'll go to your video settings, and then turn up your render distance slowly. all the way up to 32 chunks, and then your simulation distance should match your render distance. And then give it a moment, and press done. And then your game would freeze for a second, and then your world would regenerate, and then you've got this thing. And yes, it is going to be very laggy at 32 render distance, especially if you're on the Intel Core i7. So what you want to do right now, open up your pie chart, and as you can see right now, you can see an ender chest that is currently swapping with the slime. There's ender chest and also chest. So mostly what you want to look for is ender chest and shulker boxes. That is usually the most helpful. And no, this time do not click into them. It is not very useful. So what happens right now, you want to close your pie chart, close the debug screen, and then go to this and just turn it down by a few chunks. Preferably 6 or 7 chunks. Oh yeah, my game is frozen. So when you move your render distance, especially a render distance, all the chunks refresh, which means your game is gonna freeze for a second if you're on a bad computer. Usually the simulation distance should be good. So now that you're back into this, open up your pie chart again, and as you can see, it's still rendering shulker boxes and ender chests. So close off your pie chart, close off your debug screen, and then go into your options video settings and turn it down by another few chunks, preferably 4 or 5 chunks. 4 chunks, and then my game is gonna freeze for a second, reloading the chunks. Then I get back into the game, open up my pie chart, and as you can see, my ender chest is no longer here. Well, now what you want to do the same debug screen procedure. Go into your objects video settings and turn it up chunk by chunk, or by 2 chunks at a time. My game is gonna freeze for a second, and now as you can see, my shulker boxes and ender chests are now here. Now, what you want to do, since it's here, move it down by 1 chunk so that you got 23 chunks. Your chunks are going to refresh until you still see it. But if you do this one more time, it should no longer have this ender chest. So now what you want to do is you want to turn on chunk borders, and you can turn off your debug screen if you want, because it does take up a lot of your screen, and it's not exactly helpful when you want to look at these tiny border thingies. So now open up, you do have to open up your pie chart, go in one direction and then refresh your pie chart, and as you can see, there are no ender chests or shulker boxes. So back to your original chunk, then to another chunk. And as you can see in this chunk, I do see an ender chest. But if I go to this chunk, pressed on something. If I go into this chunk and refresh, you're gonna see I don't see it. But if I go to this chunk and then I refresh, even if I don't refresh, I still do see an ender chest. So back to your original chunk, you close off your debug screen, and then go whatever your render distance is currently at, which is 22 chunks, in that direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Pretty sure I said 22 chunks. Then 21, 22. So it's telling me that my base is right here. And just so you know, this will not give you the 100% accurate representation of where your base is. It gives you a rough estimate. So how many chunks was I off by? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 chunks, because as you can see, I go into spectator mode. My base is My base is going to be around right here, I remember. No, so my base, wait a second. My base was right here. Yeah, my base is right here. And the game predicted it to be about over there, so how many chunks are actually off by? I'm so bad at doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 chunks. So, what are you gonna do about the 7 chunks? Well, what you can do when you get into over there, you can probably check for any signs of activity. For example, maybe a log from a tree, maybe it was like cut off and they forgot to mine the top block, so there's just floating leaves here. Or maybe they didn't mine the top block and the leaves hasn't despawned yet, or if you just see random items lying on the ground. And the easiest way you can figure out is if they accidentally replaced the one grass block with a dirt block, so you just randomly see a dirt block somewhere. For example, it's like this, and there's a dirt block. Chances are it can be from a sheep eating it, but most likely there should be a base around there. So this is how you use Pyrite to find bases. However, there are more functions that you can do with Pyrite. For example, you can locate villages or trial chambers. Okay, well, we can already see a village over there. So, what do we exactly do to figure out things like trial chambers or villages? Gonna do the same procedure. And as you can see, we have trial spawner, chest, mob spawner, vault, shulker box, bell, and ender chest. Trial spawners and vaults means that there's a trial chamber. Chests are from any structure, for example, a village or maybe a mine shaft. Not a mine shaft, but a dungeon. Oh my god, what am I doing today? A bell is from a village, and the shulker boxes and ender chests are usually from a base, unless you see an ender chest in the end, which could mean that you're close to an end city. And then unspecified just does nothing. Yeah, it's useless, just like the career of yeah, just cut that part out.